Keys.
How you doing, John?
Man, I'm fabulous. It's because today we're taking a first look at the Boogie, Mesa Boogie California Tweed, which Tweed amps are really interesting, and that's kind of what they're going for. When we did that Dave Cobb rig rundown, if you've not watched it, you should, because I never really got along very well with Tweeds, but he had a very interesting point. Like on old Fender Tweeds, I think he said never turn it above like 3, right? Wasn't that it?
That,
yeah, like 3 or 4, because they get really dirty and kind of farty, those old Fenders. And but they have this great sweet spot as well. But maybe I'm getting away from myself. What I mean to say is this right here, this amp gives you these, to me, very traditional, old school, small Tweed amp sounds, plus big Tweed amp sounds, and then plus kind of an interesting drive like I got right there. So just to give you a little bit of background, this is my 1960, it's a Les Paul Jr., but somewhere in its 59 years on the planet, somebody turned it into a special. But I'm just going straight in. I've got a pedal that I'm not using, and and there's a delay in the effects end, but I'm not using that either. So essentially, it's just going straight in. But this amp gives you these traditional kind of sounds, and then very traditional Tweedy sounds, and then kind of a whole range of different amp tones. So essentially, what makes the California Tweed so interesting is this happy little fellow right there, the multi-amp switch. Now, a lot of amps have that kind of thing where you can go from full power to half power to 1/4 power, whatever, and it's essentially just changing the volume. But that switch it totally changes the personality, because, well, let me just give you a quick rundown on it. So at 40 watts, you're running 4 6v6s in a class AB pentode. But in 30 watts, where we had it coming in, we're going 2 6v6 class AB triode plus the 2 6v6 class AB pentode. So, and I'll show you as we go through all of them, but it is a different personality. And then at 20 watts, we've got 2 6v6 class AB pentode. 10 watts, it's a 2 6v6 class AB triode. And then at 2 watts, it's a 1 6v6 triode plus a 1 6v6 pentode, single class A parallel. Now that might sound kind of complex. All I'm trying to say is it's like different amps. It's not just a volume thing. You're really getting something different in that. So what to me, I really love that as a studio tool. You can dial in what you want, or if I was using this live, I would just find one sound I like that kind of fits the personality of the gig, and then use pedals to kind of adjust live. So why don't I just kind of tell you about the basics, and we'll go from there. So we've been through this. Other than that, it's really straight up. You've got master, presence, bass, mid, treble, and gain. And as you can see coming in, I had this pig just dimed all the way. And it's pretty glorious, man. I mean, what a rock and roll tone. I mean, just a big, mean, angry tone. But, with the magic of the gain, we can sweeten it up as much as we want. You know, bring up that volume a little bit. Same setting, but you know, really cleans up. And an interesting thing about, it's got a 3-band EQ, but I found that that Boogies have a lot of bass. Like usually I tend to just turn my bass way, I run it kind of hot, but on Boogies you've got so much of bottom end that you almost kind of have to dial it back a little bit. In fact, let me get another guitar so you can kind of get a different feel. Let me just grab my old Strat here.
California, California.
California, California, right. Yeah, and this, I mean, this is a 55 Strat, so, whoops, I should have been a little quieter. So this guitar was actually made, you know, when Tweeds were kind of the thing, where they were, you know, where old Fender Tweeds were like the only game in town. I mean, just a great, great dreamy tone right there. But if we put in that bottom end a little bit more, let me just dime that thing so you can hear what it does. I like that extra bottom end on a Strat. With the P90s, it's a little dirty, and with humbuckers, it gets a little mushy, but really nice there. But very clean, you know. So it gets everything from very clean to very dirty. But I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff quickly, but let me just show you some of the personality differences. When we roll it all the way down to like the 2-watt, to me this does sound like those little funky Tweeds. Let me bring this. I mean, hear how different that tone is? And it's not just a little bit of growl in it, it's really just a different flavor. But that is much like the Tweeds we were looking at during that Dave Cobb rundown, which I think was a little, I don't know, a champ or, yeah, just a tiny champ. And when you get it above 3, it doesn't really get much louder, but it really gets into that, like it's blowing up kind of sound. Which, you know, again, that is a cool tone. There's a place for that, but it almost sounds like, I don't know, kind of like those old Neil Young records, which I'm not even sure what he was using on some of those, but I think Fender, he has a stack of weird Fenders that had been modified. But a very interesting tone. Let me get off of that into, hear you the 10-watt one. Again, to me, different personality, you know? Very cool. let me go to the 20 water and then show you a little bit of some of the other features.
Surprised you haven't tackled the reverb yet.
Well, we're getting, there's just a lot of stuff, Chris.
I just know that your reverb.
I love verb, and this is a good place to kind of get into that. The verb, and as you can hear, when you've got it at lower volumes, you know, with the gain down, verb can be pretty subtle, but as you turn up the gain, you hear it just getting more and more kind of pronounced and out of kind of uncontrollable. And the verb, let me make sure I get it right, is tube driven. There's 5 12AX7s, 1 12AT7, 4 6V6s, 3 band EQ, the Balch Birch cabinet, and the speaker's a 112 Jensen Blackbird Alnico, which kind of gives it that old school vibe. So the verb, yeah, man, keep it down there. I mean, it's just dreamy, right? You just want to swim in that stuff. But the other cool feature is there is an effects loop. So when you're running pedals in front of amps, if you're using the gain on the amp, as you know, those pedals can kind of get away from you, so what I usually do, actually, for the most part, I run stuff in front, but, and kind of adjust as we go. But having an effects loop is a great way to keep those effects like delays and such pristine. Right there, I've got a Seymour Duncan vapor trail running in and out, but it's. Let me clean that up a little bit. So a great feature to have if you want it, and you know, I mean, that seems like most modern amps do give you that option, particularly if they're running a master and a gain. Speaking of pedals. I've got a delay in front of this thing. Okay, we're about out of time, but let me just show you quickly what it does with, I've got this this overdrive in front. It's actually the shakedown special. So kind of an 808 sort of vibe, but, so here we are clean. So it handles pedals well. Let me put in humbuckers because we got a boogie. We got a boogie. Otherwise, we have to boogie. Otherwise, I'll be talking about this thing all day. We got stuff to do, man. There's other gear to look at. It's not just all you, Mesa Boogie. Anyway, I'm now in humbucker land, and I don't think we've done the 40 watt yet. Let me do it there. And I'm going to pull back. In fact, I'm going to just dime all 3 of these. Let me pull back. Bring that back bass a little bit. So here we are. This is just my PRS. So it's got a little bit of just starting to kind of break up a bit. But as you turn on a So as you can see, takes pedals well. There's a lot of stuff here. To read the full written review, go to Premier Guitar. They'll walk you through the whole enchilada. But this is an excellent start. And Chris, what we got coming up? All kinds of stuff, endless
Got all
stuff.
sorts of rig rundowns, umbrella, almond bets, band struts, you name it, they're coming.
We got the whole enchilada. So tune in. Also read my column, please. Last call. There's always fun stuff on there. I got to give my personal plug. So till next time, this is John Bollinger.